The Ford Mustang Mach-E proved that turning a legendary namesake into something completely new and different can be done without making it blasphemous. The compact all-electric crossover retains all the character that the Ford Mustang had for decades and brings it straight into the era of electric vehicles without hurting the legacy of its namesake. And now for 2025, Ford has made the flagship Mustang Mach-E even better than it ever was before. The exterior. Tradition meets modernity. One of the most divisive parts of the Ford Mustang Mach-E is by far its polarizing looks. It's simple, you either love it or you hate it, and in our opinion, the hate for the Mach-E is unwarranted. Yes, some might say that the fact the Ford Mustang's namesake has been fitted to an electric crossover is sacrilege at its finest. But considering the fact the regular muscular V8-powered Mustang is still kicking, and kicking hard, we simply cannot agree. The recently redesigned Mustang has a big hand in the 2025 Mach-E's looks, as Ford decided to redesign the electric crossover and make it more in line with its bigger gas-powered brother. As a result, you'll now get much sharper styling through and through, with sharper creasing on the doors, reminiscent of the new Mustang's broad and masculine new lines. In addition, it has also been said that those admittedly stupid proximity door sensors will also be replaced by pop-out door handles, like the ones you find on Teslas and Range Rovers, meaning that entering and exiting the car will now be far less fussy than it was before. In addition to this, the front end of the Mustang Mach-E will also be angrier and meaner than the outgoing model, courtesy of the new Mustang's front fascia. You can expect a wider Mach grille, thinner, sharper, and angrier headlights, and generally more mature front end than the one we're used to. The rear of the car will also go through a substantial redesign. The rear bumper will have less creasing, and the rear taillights will lose a horizontal line and will also be enlarged to make the vehicle more in line with the new Ford Mustang and its no-nonsense attitude. The hips will also be a little wider, making the already sexy Mach-E look even sexier and even more luscious. The Mach-E GT will also get a few exclusive additions too. The GT Performance will get sportier suspension that will bring it around an inch closer to the ground. The wheels will be larger and will share the design with the wheels found on the regular Ford Mustang GT, and the rear end will also boast a black panel that will mimic the deck lid panel from the Ford Mustang GTD. Oh, and the GT badge will also be enlarged compared to what it is now, as the new 2025 model will definitely have a lot of stuff to be proud of. Its character especially. Speaking of the character, performance, a Mustang through and through. One of the biggest complaints for the outgoing Mach-E was its performance. Simply put, people expected a vehicle that would put the Tesla Model Y to shame, and instead they've got a car that could barely keep up with Elon's little crossover. Well, that's about to change for the 2025 model year. You see, up until now, the most powerful version of the Mustang Mach-E had a max power output of a respectable but still unimpressive 480 HP. As a result, the Mach-E could do 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, 0.3 seconds slower than the Tesla Model Y. The new Mach-E GT, however, will give the Model Y a run for its money, as Ford has increased its power from 480 HP to around 560 HP, allowing it to have both more power than the Tesla Model Y, as well as a better 0 to 60 time. According to our sources, the 2025 Mustang Mach-E GT will be able to do 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.2 seconds, making it properly quick and worthy of the Mustang namesake. In addition, Ford will also rework the suspension a bit for the Mustang Mach-E GT Performance, which will make the Mach-E better in terms of handling, as most people have complained that the Mach-E suffers from very generic crossover SUV driving characteristics. Now, sure, it was better than the yawn fest that the Model Y is, however, it still lacked a little bit of engagement to make the driving experience memorable. For example, the Kia EV6 GT was always considered a superior vehicle to both the Model Y and the Mach-E. Well, as of now, that won't be the case anymore, and the EV6 will finally have a car that matches it through and through. That said, you can also expect the suspension to be quite a bit firmer than it was, which is to say that if you're a soccer mom or if you're afraid of, driving a fun vehicle, then something like, say, a Hyundai might be a better alternative for you. Range, finally a viable commuter. Let's get this straight. The Mustang Mach-E wasn't exactly a good commuter, mainly due to its range. You see, the performance-oriented models of the old Mustang Mach-E could only do up to 280 miles. Not bad, but not impressive either. Thankfully, though, Ford has decided to improve the range of the performance-oriented Mach-E. This has been done through both tweaking out the powertrain so that it uses less energy to be powered, as well as outfitting it with a new optional extended range pack. You see, the Mustang Mach-E GT can now be outfitted with a 110 kilowatt battery, allowing it to achieve ranges of up to 330 miles, making it neck-to-neck with Tesla's long-range Model Y. That said, doing so will lower the performance of the vehicle as it will be noticeably heavier. So if it's performance you're after, you might want to stick with the regular 91 kilowatt-hour battery. In addition to that, the Mach-E's premium trim now comes as standard with the 91 kilowatt-hour battery from now on, giving it a base range of around 330 miles, which can be extended up to 390 miles with the new 110 kilowatt-hour battery. Unfortunately, though, the entry-level Select will retain its 72 kilowatt-hour battery, which can thankfully now be extended to 91 kilowatt-hour, even with the rear-wheel drive model, which wasn't the case previously. All in all, Ford is giving its rivals a run for their money with the Mach-E's new update, and we mean it quite literally. The Mach-E can truly outrun its rivals in terms of range autonomy. But that isn't the only thing that the Mach-E reigns supreme in. Interior. Reimagined ergonomics. Many owners of the Mustang Mach-E have found its interior to be, well, very underwhelming to say the least. First, it is very minimalistic, which is both a good and a bad thing. You see, the Mach-E is a stylish vehicle on the inside, with the center touchscreen being the definite center of attention. However, it was also very convoluted to use. You see, the climate controls were very hard to use, for example, as you had to go through the touchscreen and constantly click on it until you've adjusted the temperature to what you desired. This is obviously very dangerous, as you absolutely must take your eyes off the road to adjust the temperature, and was a big design flaw. Thankfully, though, this will not be the case for the 2025 model year. You see, the redesigned Mach-E will now have two smaller climate control knobs on each side of the touchscreen, just like the volume knob that is currently present in the middle of the screen. This will allow you to quickly adjust both the intensity of the AC as well as the temperature too. And to switch between the two, you'll just have to press in the middle of the knob, which will allow you to choose between intensity and temperature. Essentially, the climate controls would now look similar to what modern Range Rovers look like, which is always a good thing in our opinion. In addition to this, there will also be other improvements. For starters, the dashboard will be made from higher quality materials and will now be wrapped in more faux leather and soft touch plastics than before, making it look practically premium. The seats will also have improved padding and bolstering, which will make them a heck of a lot more comfortable and supportive. However, its biggest advantage over its key rivals, the Tesla Model Y, won't be that it will improve too much in terms of ergonomics, but that the Tesla will drop off in this regard significantly. You see, the Tesla Model Y is also about to be redesigned, and it will most likely share a lot of stuff with the recently redesigned Tesla Model 3. That means that everything, and we do mean everything, will be transferred to the touchscreen for it. Gear selector, touchscreen. Headlights, touchscreen. Hazard lights, touchscreen. Turning the car on and off, touchscreen. This is a nightmare for those of us who value sanity and will prove to be a big turnoff for Tesla buyers. But hey, who cares? We'll have the Mach-E at our disposal. That is, if it doesn't get expensive, as all these changes do seem like they're going to cost a lot. So, are they? Pricing. Increased, but acceptable. Well, yes, the pricing is going to get a slight bump. However, you need not worry, this will not be all that substantial. The base model Mach-E will now start at a little over $41,000, which is around $1,000 more than it does now. But then again, that version will get the least amount of updates too. It'll retain its entry-level quality, seats, and range, but at least you'll still be able to get it cheap, right? The premium model will start at $48,000 now, which is largely because it'll have a 91 kilowatt-hour battery at its disposal. This is a $4,000 jump. However, you will actually be paying less than what you would pay for now if you were to option out the 91 kilowatt-hour battery instead of the 72 kilowatt-hour one. The GT is going to be a bit more expensive too, starting at around $58,000, but we'd argue that this price jump is well worth it, considering how much stuff you get with it in terms of performance and looks. In addition, the GT performance will be even more expensive, clocking in at $61,000. But for the money, you'll be getting a sporty accented interior, improved handling, some weight reduction, and well, a very cool vehicle overall. Sure, it isn't exactly value for money, especially not when compared to the regular GT, but it is a good vehicle nonetheless, and probably one of only a few properly driven-oriented EV crossovers out there. The Rally and the Bronze are expected to be discontinued in 2025, as they both sold very poorly. The Bronze was just an overpriced cosmetic, whereas the Rally cost an arm and a leg, while offering nothing of significance, except for some cheap and fake Rally memorabilia and details.